in 2020, I lost my brother, who I was a caregiver for over 30 years. He was a paraplegic, and me losing my brother in July of 2020, um, it was a big loss. It was a really.
I have been depressed in a way. I would consider mine as mild depression. As a matter of fact, COVID-19 has caused me depression in a way.
Us as artists, not being able to physically touch our fans, go out there used to performing in front of crowds of thousands. Obviously, we can't have that anymore. So that definitely has an effect on our craft, even though we can still make music, but artists still want to be able to touch the fans and connect with the fans and interact physically.
Being a very young child, I dealt with a lot of death. I've been to so many funerals in my youth that I just kind of got desensitized to death. My very first funeral was my mother's at age 4.
I lost my daughter in South Africa. Then I had to fly to South Africa to go and bury her. There was COVID. There was no way I could go. So I got stuck.
In 2016, I lost someone that was really dear to me. I can be able to help somebody not only mentally, but spiritually, socially, emotionally also.
I personally, this might be the first time that I'm actually speaking on some issues that I have gone through personally that have left me to go through depression in my life.
So it's always good to have a group of friends that you can talk to. They may or may not have gone through the same experience as you. Maybe they know somebody. But mental health it's something that has to do with the loss of a person. And because sometimes in the Black community, we don't always deal with it.
Fully in support of the conversation around mental health.
Please join the conversation.
Join the conversation.
Join the conversation.
Hello. How are you doing? How are you really doing? How are you mentally, physically, and spiritually? How are you getting through in the midst of the pandemic and everything else that is going on in the world currently? Let's talk a little bit about mental health and how important it is. When you hear the phrase mental health or mental illness, what is the first thing that comes to mind? For some, mental health is well-being. For others, it is happiness and it is joy. Mental health is so many things. Mental health is the state of one's well-being. It is about how one thinks, feels, and acts. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, many people have faced mental health issues due to the loss of family members, friends, and loved ones. Some people also lost their jobs and livelihoods. These are some of the reasons why mental health is important and needs to be talked about more. According to global statistics, mental health and substance disorders affect 13% of the world's population. Health experts say depression, anxiety, trauma, stress, and poverty are some of the leading causes of mental disorders. People all around the world have faced difficulty getting through tough situations. We need to be in a good state of mind so that we can be able to handle these situations and be able to get through them. Sometimes it's hard. We can be so mentally drained, but it is important for us to keep a positive mindset. We may not be all the way there with our mental well-being. However, we get through it as time goes by with constant conversations and with courage. There are many people around the world who have faced mental health issues in so many ways, and they are here to share what mental health means to them and how they have been getting through. From this documentary, we will understand the importance of mental health and how to get through depression from so many different point of views. We will understand the importance of music and mental health, how to balance our spiritual, physical, and mental health. And we will also understand the role played by the media in mental health. Here are some people who have come to discuss mental health from different perspectives. Ms. Toka Rennie is a social worker. She will discuss balancing mental, physical, and spiritual health. Kosi is a Liberian award-winning artist. He will be discussing music and mental health. And Mr. Ernest Kanja is a media executive. He will be closing this documentary with the role played by the media in mental health.
Thank you, Ms. Washington, so much for inviting me to share this opportunity to discuss mental health. My name is Toka Nesbitt Rainey. I am with Columbus, VA. I'm also have my master's in healthcare administration, and I'm currently working on my doctorate also in healthcare administration at Franklin University.
I just want to know, how are you really doing? How are you doing mentally, physically, and spiritually?
Well, that's a very good question. Prior to the pandemic, it was kind of life as usual, going through the norm, not being precautious about my health, especially mentally. I kind of just worked, did some family activities, but now with COVID, since 2019, I kind of had to learn a whole new routine. I had to learn how to be by myself. I've taken up spending more time spiritually, reading my Bible, praying. My circle is small, so I'm not around a lot of people. I do now go back to work in person. I have had a job change in 2021, so I've changed jobs and now back in school. So it's been a great change in learning how to wear masks and limit my person-to-person contact. I feel kind of stifled sometimes that I'm not able to be around a lot of people or be around my friends, but I think it's for my best of my health. Some people are not vaccinated. I am vaccinated with Pfizer as soon as they came out. I've had both my initial vaccine, my secondary vaccine, and also my booster and the flu shot. So please get vaccinated. I would suggest it. I work in the urgent care for Columbus, VA, and I see people coming in with just the common cold symptoms as they may think, but quietly it's possibly COVID. And COVID is not something like the common cold. You can take something and you'll feel good in a couple days. I've seen patients over the past year that are still having lingering long-term effects with COVID. I also, during this time, I've had taken up seeing a therapist to talk about mental health and my relationships with my family, my children, my job, my coworkers, and I also suffered a big loss in 2020. I lost my brother, who I was a caregiver for over 30 years. He was a paraplegic, and me losing my brother in July of 2020, it was a big loss. It was a really big loss. Oh, thank you. But now it's been over a year, and I'm now finally able, after 30 years, really taking time for me. So mentally, it has helped me in a way where I'm not being a caregiver for everyone. I can now focus on me, and I can now help others, especially share in regards to doing things, trying to eat more healthy, eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, drink more water, walk, try to exercise, and then again, try to remain spiritual. During this time, I was very active during my church to help reacclimate people coming into church by doing temperature checks. We do health checks, and I've been doing that for the past year and a half. I do Bible study. I have my own Bible study book that I do share, and I do my own questions. We have it online, so I'm able to contribute online. And then also, if I wanted to attend services person to person, I can go in person. So I think that has really helped me a lot during this time, learning, finding me. So, and I would suggest that to anyone.
The phrase mental health or mental illness, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Mental health, I don't take it as a negative. Possibly I would say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it had like a stigma to it. Say when you mention something, mental health, mental illness, or if you had like psychotic thoughts or suicidal thoughts, to me it seemed like it had a negative connotation. But since we've now been in COVID now for almost 2 years, and people are now talking about mental health, it's now common. There's nothing wrong seeing a therapist or a counselor or a psychiatrist, because it's good, because we've been bottled up for so long, and now it's time for you to express yourself. Like a flower that's ready to bloom for springtime. You gotta let it go. So I don't see anything wrong. I do have a therapist, and I think it's healthy. You know, and oftentimes we in the African American community always think of going to counseling as a negative, but it is a positive for me. It's helped me with the therapy of grieving my brother. During COVID, I've lost 2 other relatives during this time. So it's been like a whirlwind when you have a big family, and then you have certain family members that are no longer there. You need to grieve about it. So during this time where you're able to express your mental health, again, seeking a mental health professional or a therapist, a counselor, even your pastor or spiritual leader can also be there to help share.
Thank you. And again, so like you were saying, for you, mental health is a positive thing and not
Absolutely. I would suggest it to a lot of my friends and coworkers. And some people are in denial when you say you want to go, you need to talk to somebody. Yeah, you'll talk to me, but then you don't know if you check. Oftentimes your insurance provider also helps you to see mental health therapists and counselors. You can call, get a referral, and they can give you suggestions of various professionals in your area, in your church or your spiritual community. I'm sure that they have elders or ministers that are there that are willing to eagerly assist you, whether it's prayer, counseling, or just lending a listening ear.
Because for us, especially I'm from Liberia, West Africa, there is always this negative thing when you talk about mental health and mental illness in the African community. It's always seen as a negative thing, and people always try to downgrade how you feel, or try to just give you, they just brush up when it comes
pass
to
you pass you over or pass you away.
And it's so important that you mention it, that it's not anything that's negative, and more people should talk about it.
Absolutely.
And then with what I see, when I notice when it comes to Africans and African Americans, I think we have the same kind of mindset when it comes to mental health. So back home we have a lot of churches, and there are some people who will be sick and they will refuse to go to the hospital or to talk to someone. They will prefer to go to the church and talk to their pastors, which is not wrong. But then I believe, because God he also blessed the pastors, the scientists, those who make medicine, those who treat us.
Absolutely.
He also gave them the wisdom and the knowledge.
Yes.
And so I don't think people should be, it shouldn't be like one or the other. Spiritual, how can you balance your spiritual and mental health?
I work for the Columbus VA, and in my area, urgent care, we see a wide range of veterans that have been fighting for our country and oftentimes feel neglected or not, or being underserved. So we do have an open door policy. If the vet comes in, we try to treat them best we can. But in regards to open mental health and spirituality, there is people tend to brush off mental health, you know, oh, they just sick, or they have issues. But when a true person, when they can admit that they have a problem and they need counseling and they need help, that's the open, honest part of it. And I think that once people admit that, they'll be better able to get a positive solution.
And so when it comes to like people who are atheists, who don't believe in anything spiritual, who just, okay, those people, maybe if they have some mental health issues, they'll go to therapists, they'll go to the hospital. And then for those who just believe in spiritual things and not in medicine, and for you, you believe in both, because I know you partake in your church activities and you're very focused when it comes to spiritual things. And then when it comes to medical things also, because you take treatment, you wear your masks, you are very particular when it comes to your physical surrounding. So how do you, maybe for those who may think that it has to be one or the other, what can you say to them that it will help them to be able, how do you balance your spiritual and mental health?
Well, that's a good thing. You need to have balance, because if you've gone through these past 2 years and you've just closed yourself in, that's enough to make anyone go stir crazy. I mean, I was working from home for a few months and I needed people. I'm a people person. I desire to work in the office. I desire, you know, to be, you know, I look forward to having my lunchtime and being with other friends. I look forward getting after work and maybe going to a store, or you know, maybe having a quick brunch or something with a friend. You still need to try to have, again, balance. Like I said, I know I use Wednesdays. I have online Bible study with my church. We also have online prayer. I can call, make an appointment, and if I need to go in office, or even have a telephone conference with my therapist, you can do that. You don't have to. You can do a lot of things in the comforts of your own home. Some people don't want to drive across town, you know, to see a doctor, but you can do it in the convenience of your own home. We've gotten so used now that we can do things online. No one really has to know. You know, it's nothing to be ashamed about seeing a therapist or a counselor. I, by all means, try to, you know, and then some people do need to take medication. Some people do need, you know, inpatient treatment. There's outpatient treatment. There's so many different things to help you. But if you don't ask, if you don't look into it and you don't know, often people suffer in silence. So my balance for me is that I have a work life, I have church, I have outside activities. I'm busy with schoolwork. I'm active with my community. I'm active at my college. I'm active with a previous school I attended years ago, but I'm still very active. I go practically almost every other year. For homecoming, I still try to do other activities. I'm busy with my children life. They're millennial adults. They have their own life, but still I'm mom. So I still have a balance. I mean, I have, you know, like I said, my circle of friends is small and I don't really go out to a lot of events. But when I do, believe me, I got masks, I'm changing frequently, I got hand sanitizer. You know, you can do things safely. But again, I recommend getting vaccinated.
Have you been in a situation before where you have been maybe depressed or feel sad, and what is one measure that you use to get through that situation?
Well, I think at one time or another, we all have been possibly in a relationship or a bad breakup. For me, I took it personally. Where I didn't want to eat, I didn't care about my appearance, I just wanted to sleep, I wanted to cry, and I had to shake up my girlfriends. I had an intervention. You got to shake this off, and I prayed about it. I started reading the word to comfort me. I did reach out to a therapist, and I was able to talk with her about it. and I was in treatment for about 6 months, off and on. I'm still in treatment now, and there's nothing wrong. I feel better. She's given me some positive suggestions and tools and things that I can work on personally, like journaling. I love to write. I mean, I can write. I'm watching a TV program or being in church or at work, and I can take very good notes in minutes. I love writing and journaling, and now I'm starting to read and cook more. Since I've been at home more, I'm taking the time to eat healthier foods, healthier item foods, and fresh vegetables, and just feeling good about myself and drinking more water and trying to watch my sugar intake. Trying to decide if I'm going to join the gym or not. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm almost there. But I feel more happier now that I'm midlife and, like I said, empty nest, and I can do things for me. So if you don't, you got to love yourself first.
Yes.
Before you can love anybody else.
That's so good. Yeah, love yourself first, pray, and see a therapist or try to talk to someone when you're going through a difficult situation. You can never go wrong with that. Music plays a very important role in mental health. We all love music. We listen to music, we sing songs, we dance to songs. The kind of music that we listen to can help us express our emotions and how we feel and how we think. And sometimes music can be a way that we can relate to the lyrics and be able to truly say how we feel. Sometimes when we listen to music, we laugh, we cry, we smile because it's something that suits us. It can be soothing to us. Cozy is a Liberian award-winning artist. He's a producer and a businessman. He will be discussing the importance of music in mental health.
I said I went through my own time of depression, and I had my own way of dealing with it, and music definitely was one of the ways. Besides the creation of music, just listening to certain music uh, was soothing. It could help out in dealing with certain issues. Now, one of the roles that music plays in mental health and being healthier as it comes to your mental is, one, it gives you confidence. Listening to certain music is a confidence booster. It brings you joy. It brings you happiness. Therefore, you're able to at least deal away with all the negativity that you may have. It puts you at ease. Music is also a soother. It helps to soothe the soul. Therefore, for example, you may have a situation where there's a lot of things on your plate, a lot of things in your personal life. There's a lot of things in your professional life that are going on with you. It might be challenging through all your career and through all your time of going through whatever you're going through. But when you play a certain song, it puts you in such a great mood just because of the emotions or the emotional attachment that you have to that song. You know, you play it and all of a sudden you were feeling down and you were feeling sad and feeling angry, but you listen to the song and now all of a sudden it puts you in a better place. It soothes you. It helps to calm you in order to make better decisions and understanding who you are, understanding that you can have problems and still be able to live a happy life, even though you have problems. Some people don't understand that. And too, one thing like I said before, information and Ernest spoke on it too in his presentation that he just gave. The lack of information that we have is one of the biggest causes of not being able to attend to mental health and being able to be mentally healthier than what we are. We need more events that are used to be at least create awareness around mental health issues that we have going on. As far as the music too, one thing I want to point out is, you know, music should not be used as a crutch in dealing with problems, because, for example, if I'm having a problem, I'm going through a problem, or anybody is going through a problem, and I say, look, I'm going to put myself in the mood. I'm going to listen to a song that gives me upliftment. I'm going to listen to a song that inspires me, that makes me want to go out and do something good. I'll listen to that song for 3 minutes, and the 3 minutes is done, and I still have to go back to those problems. You understand what I'm saying? So those songs that we may play, the music shouldn't be used as a crutch to eliminate our problems. It's just to help us, put us in a better place, and be able to understand where we are, and that even though we have problems, we can still cope with it. Even though we have challenges in our life, I can listen to a song and at least help me to think better, at least soothe me down, and help me to be able to make better decisions, informed decisions. Like I said, music is a temporary, it's a temporary thing when dealing, you know, with trying to set your mind right and trying to just be mentally healthy. Another thing that I want to say is that music definitely improves your mental health. When you listen to, it has to be the right kind of music for the right situation. All music may not be good to you as an individual, depending on your state, depending on where you are mentally, depending on where you are even physically, you know. So music is definitely, like I said, the whole mental health is being cognizant of yourself, being able to understand who you are. You know, what are you thinking? And if you think in a bad way, you're going to feel bad. If you're feeling bad, most likely you'll end up behaving bad. So in order to do away with that, you have to listen to good things, listen to good music, you know, listen to music that will uplift your soul, music that will force you to go out and do something better for the community. You understand? So again, I think music is just something that, again, it's a tool. You know, it's a tool. I'm gonna go back to the fact that music shouldn't be used as a crutch. It can't solve your problems. You understand? But it can help to put you as an individual in a better state mentally to deal with those problems. There was a time where I personally, this might be the first time that I'm actually speaking on some issues that I have gone through personally that have left me to go through depression in my life, where things were not going right. I had personal issues and other issues that led me to just going into depression. Most especially during Ebola time. That was 2014 in West Africa. Liberia was hit pretty hard. I had family members, close people that died during that time, and it was just a real hard time for me. And it wasn't until later on when I realized I just didn't have this spiritual nor physical or mental satisfaction, and I couldn't understand what was going on. It was later on until I realized that what I was going through at that time was depression. I guess I kind of self-diagnosed and learned to talk to people about certain problems, learn to be able to be open about problems when you're going through things. And that's one of the main things that we go through here in Liberia. As Africans, we need to develop more on building relationships, to be able to talk with people about your problems, having face-to-face conversations instead of going to social media and having social media to think that that'll solve the problems.
the role that we play in mental health, us media practitioners. The role of the media is to inform, to educate, and to entertain. When it comes to mental health, the media plays a very crucial role when informing the public. Information shared by the media should be accurate, balanced, and credible in order to avoid chaos in society. Mr. Ernest Kanja is a media executive with over 20 years as a journalist and a communicator. He is here to discuss the role played by the media in mental health.
So, what do we find in the media today? We have inadequate coverage of mental health issues. And even when mental health issues are covered, the approach is different. We'll find out, especially in the United States, that the media focuses more on gun violence, on crimes, than even on ordinary depression, which people could go through because of, say, COVID-19, right? In other places, the situation is even worse. You can go for weeks without seeing anything on mental health, on television, or hear anything about mental health on radio. And so, like I said, in the United States, for instance, the media focuses more on this: crime, gun violence, and they pay less attention to people who get depressed simply because they are undergoing some stress within the family. It's difficult to have the media zoom on an individual and tell their domestic story that is causing them depression, but they would rather focus on bigger stories: crime, gun violence, perhaps because those ones attract more public attention. But that, to me, is a very big problem. We have this new brand of the media that is coming up, and interestingly, it's been found out that citizen journalists are doing a better job in addressing mental health issues than even the mainstream media. So you see these people who are with their phones all the time, picking up videos on the streets and posting them on social media. These people even understand these issues more. And a research that was conducted found out that citizen journalists, focus more on recovery, like people with mental health issues recovering, than the mainstream media, who would just report the crime and gun violence stories, and go away with it. Whereas citizen journalists are found to be much more compassionate, much more empathetic, on mental health issues. So quickly, this research was done in 2019, but data was collected as far back as 1995. Between 95 and 2014, it was found. As a matter of fact, the researchers put 3 groups of citizen journalists together, trained them on mental health issues, and asked them to produce videos on mental health. Then they tapped content on the Canadian television on mental health, and this is what they found out, that 60% of the videos which the citizen journalists produce had to do with people recovering from mental health, which is what is much more important than just the 40% of TV clips, that showed crimes and violence, as against just 23%, on television. And so these statistics, I found them to be very interesting, because at the end of the day, It is the citizen journalists who are even doing the job. They're the ones who are approaching mental health issues, in a much more compassionate way than the mainstream media, than the mass media, which are supposed to be, to be reaching out there on these issues. So we have two main problems we are facing here as far as media coverage on mental health issues is concerned. Quantitatively, there is insufficient coverage. So there's more of sports on the media, more of music, more of politics than mental health issues. Whereas people are suffering from mental health issues every day, people are dying. Qualitatively, the approach, like I mentioned earlier on, is very, very problematic. Even when the big media outfit cover mental health issues, their approach is gun violence and crime. But we are not seeing them focusing on individuals who are suffering from depression. I think enough needs to be done on that. But what is the way forward? So let's look at some roles and responsibilities. What should the media and what should communicators do? First thing I would like to say is when it comes to health communication, the mass media, television, radio, newspapers, are secondary. The primary mode of communication in health is what we call BCC, behavior change communication. This is because most health issues arise and even worsen because of behavior, because of human behavior. Let's take COVID, which we are deeply into. Widespread became increasing because people were not following the guidelines. That is very behavioral. Like people are asked to put on their mask, people are asked to social distance themselves, and they're not doing it. They still cluster at beaches. Then what happens? Few days down the road, the numbers rise. So it's a human problem, it's a behavioral problem. So people are not behaving the way they should. So that is why the spread is increasing. So to tackle that, you need to communicate around people's behavior. And that is where behavior change communication arises. So it's a specialized form of communication which has to do with people's behavior, and you communicate to change people's behavior to attack a particular health crisis. In some parts of the world as well, you would find such erroneous beliefs. And this stems from the fact that there is lack of awareness. People are not educated about mental health issues. There is lack of knowledge. And even when the media talk about these things, the coverage is grossly insufficient. So at the end of the day, mental health is not a big issue in some parts of the world. And that is a very big problem. We are facing a crisis, especially in the African community, where people are losing their lives, spouses are killing their partners, on a regular basis, and people don't seem to understand what is going on. These are mental health issues, which people are not taking seriously.
Mental health is a very serious issue that needs to be understood and discussed. We all have roles to play in raising awareness for mental health. To conclude, mental health and mental illness still remains underreported. And this is a very serious issue. The coverage on mental health and mental illness is very insufficient. We need more media entities and volunteers to join the conversation around mental health. Now we are in a digital age. Almost everyone has access to smartphones and access to the internet. Please, do research on mental health and help raise awareness. Be kind to the people around you and be kind to yourself. Do not bully anyone. You don't know what someone may be going through. Some people may be laughing, but they may also be suffering in silence. Just because someone looks okay doesn't mean that they're okay. Take a break sometimes. Just relax, have fun, laugh, do the things you love, and take care of your mental well-being. You may not be all the way there with your mental health, but as time goes by, and with constant conversation and courage, you will get through. Thank you, and again, mental health is very important. Let's continue to raise awareness for mental health and mental illness. Thank you.